Hey everybody, today's video is called, What Does He Will Crush Your Head and You Will Strike His Hail mean? And today we step out of our pass-through study in the book of Ezekiel. Before we move into the next chapter of Ezekiel, I feel like this is a very good topic to hit on. And it's going to be focused on a prophecy found in the book of beginnings, the book of Genesis. So this is our 7th Topical Saturday of 2025, and we're going to be looking at a verse here in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15, and it says, "And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." So if you look at the context of Genesis chapter 3, you're obviously going to see that this is God speaking to the serpent, and the serpent we know is Satan. In our next study in Ezekiel 28, either Monday or Tuesday, I think it will be, we're going to be talking about the fall of the king of Tyre, and it's going to give us a picture of Satan. So that's why I said today's topical kind of leads us into the next study. So in Genesis 3:15, the woman is obviously speaking of Eve when we read the chapter. And God's judgment is announced with hope and mercy. And the curse falls upon Satan, who had taken the serpent's body in Eden. And as part of the curse, hatred will exist between the woman and the serpent. And in verse 20 going forward, it says, "And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all the living." So we see Eve is the mother of all the living. Therefore, there is a hatred between mankind and the enemy and fallen angels. In verse 15 is a messianic prophecy, the very first one we find in the Old Testament concerning a Savior to come. "And he will crush your head" is speaking of the Messiah. It points to the promise of the birth of Jesus, his redemption and his victory over Satan. And Jesus being virgin born makes him literally the offspring of a woman. And let's go over to the book of Galatians chapter 4, verse 4. So Galatians chapter 4, verse 4 says, "But when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth his son, born of a woman, born under the law," and I'm going to continue through verse 5, "to redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons." And so Jesus is the perfect ambassador of mankind. And evil men, like snakes, lied in wait for the Savior and struck him with venomous conspiracy, condemning him to be crucified. And Jesus crushed the serpent's head when he rose again on the third day, conquering death, breaking the power of death, and winning the ultimate victory forever. And I want to go over to the book of 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. So today's message also, as we move closer into the resurrection, or aka Easter for what some people call it, focusing on that. So 1 John 3:8, "He who sins is of the devil, for the devil has sinned from the beginning. For the purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil." So we see the mission of Christ. And that's going to be the end of today's study. Nice short study right before we move into chapter 28 of Ezekiel. And we'll discuss Satan more in that study sometime next week, most likely Monday or Tuesday. So I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. God bless.